Fortnite Chapter 6 has been a controversial chapter, to say the least. There have been a lot of mixed opinions on this chapter, whether you love it or hate it. No matter where you go on the internet, it just seems like there's always some new opinion on the chapter. But I'm here to say that I honestly think that Fortnite is entering a new peak with Chapter 6. Like and subscribe, use code LilSmurf in the Fortnite item shop, follow me on Twitter. That's enough promotion, let's go. First of all, I just want to say that every single season of this chapter has been phenomenal so far. Oni Hunters is a top 10 season. Lawless was really good. Star Wars was my least favorite of the chapter, but it was still pretty good. And Super is honestly a top 5 season for me. The loot pool is absolutely phenomenal. We have amazing ARs like the Fury Assault Rifle, the Hollow Twister AR, the Spire Rifle. We got great SMGs like the Surgefire SMG and the Valid Precision SMG. One of the best shotgun metas since Chapter 2. Overall, these seasons have just been amazing so far, and I'm just gonna go into each one of them, what makes them so good, and why I think Chapter 6 is just an amazing chapter overall. First, let's start with Oni Hunters. This was a season that's been themed around Japanese mythology, which is a season that I personally have wanted for a while. It leans heavily into this theme, but also puts in some modern aspects, sort of like Neo Tokyo vibes. It's not nearly to the degree that it was in Mega, but it's still definitely there in areas like Seaport City. And there were a lot, and I mean a lot, of cool Japanese themed items. We had the Oni fire masks and the Oni void masks. The fire mask, basically you could shoot a fireball at your opponent and it would do some pretty substantial damage, but it did have a pretty big cooldown. So what I would do is I would throw a fireball at my opponent and then I would shoot him with a shotgun or spray him with my AR or something. The void mask was a phenomenal mobility item. Basically what you would do is you would throw a void orb, and whenever you pressed right click, you would teleport. This made traveling around the island way faster, and you could also use it to get into people's boxes, which was also really cool. And we also had the Typhoon Blade, which I've expressed my distaste for in the past. I liked the concept of the Typhoon Blade, but in practice, I feel like it was just a bit too overpowered. But that wasn't the only thing. I've talked about the loot pool before and how much I love the gunplay, but the map was also phenomenal. Almost every single POI was themed around Japanese mythology. There were like dojos and Neo Tokyo cities and stuff. It was amazing. And even the loot island that spawned in had a bunch of dojos and statues on it with a shogun boss that you could fight. And brief spoiler for the rest of the chapter, but I absolutely loved how every single aspect of Japanese culture was still in seasons in the future. Even though the Japanese season ended because the entire map was built around Japanese mythology, there were still hints of Japanese culture in the map, so there were still dojo things. Even now, when the loot island spawns in, it's still themed around Japanese mythology. Hey, I got a new drinking game. Take a shot every single time I say Japanese mythology. I'm convinced half of you guys would black out. Anyways, I think I've said all I need to say about this season. I absolutely loved it. Let's move on to Lawless. When Lawless first came out, I was originally just like, it was fine, I guess. It was another heist themed season, but instead of like secret agents, it was this time we were robbing banks and stuff, which did change it up a bit, but for me, it just still felt really repetitive and stale. The gunplay was good, and I did like the POIs they added, and I will admit, the banks were really fun to break into because it wasn't just kill a boss, get a key card. Instead, you had to plant a bomb on the vault, and then you had to fight off a horde of enemies and maybe a boss. Now, those hordes of enemies and those bosses weren't exactly hard, but still, it changed up the formula. We also got the return of the rocket ram, kind of, with the return of the rocket drill. It was very similar to the rocket ram, and I did enjoy it. However, as the season went on, we got more and more updates that added so much to the experience. All of the new exotics that they added were so amazing, and I had so much fun with them. The exotic pump and dump, the sniper, the return of Brutus's minigun and Midas's drum gun, All of that was super fun and really added a lot of chaos to that season, which I felt like it was missing. Originally, Lawless started out as like a 7 out of 10 for me, but as the time went on, it became like an 8.5 out of 10. Next, let's talk about Galactic Battle, the only collab season so far. I'm not looking forward to the Simpsons season. Now, I am a huge Star Wars fan, and I did enjoy this season a lot. However, I can't help but feel like there was some wasted potential here. The wasted potential mainly just came down to they didn't do enough with POIs, and maybe they could have added a couple more skins, but for the most part, I still thought the season was good. They made an extremely bold choice and completely vaulted ammo and all of the Chapter 6 guns for an entire month in favor of Star Wars blasters. And I gotta say, I didn't think it would work, but it worked very well. This season had lightsabers, blaster rifles, spaceships, force powers, and so many more things that actually made you feel like you were in a Star Wars movie. And the live event that was at the end of the season was also pretty good. Overall, this season was just a really fun time. I can understand why some people didn't like it, especially if you're not a Star Wars fan. You're not gonna enjoy this as much as some other people. However, I just personally liked the gunplay. It was probably my favorite out of any season of the chapter, despite the fact that this season was probably my least favorite of the chapter, just because as a Star Wars fan, I could see the wasted potential, but it was still a solid like 8 out of 10. And finally, Fortnite Super, Chapter 6, Season 3. This season is absolutely peak. You guys can't change my mind. Yes, this season is a 10 out of 10. You cannot change my mind. All of the superpowers, from the Beast Gauntlets to the Storm Beast Pom-Poms or whatever they're called, the Light Cube, the little like power that lets you suck the power out of your opponents or whatever, all of these items and all of these guns, especially those like cyberpunk guns where you activate slow-mo and can shoot at your opponents, it's amazing. This season is some of the most fun I've had on Fortnite in years. I literally cannot think of a single flaw of this season. Like, I genuinely think it's perfect. There might be some things that are like a little bit overpowered, but Fortnite has done a pretty good job at doing nerfs and keeping it balanced while also keeping them still fun, unlike Wrecked. But this season overall is just phenomenal, and this entire chapter overall is just phenomenal. I feel like I've explained myself here on why I think Chapter 6 is a new peak for Fortnite. It's up there with the peaks of Chapter 4, the peaks of Chapter 2, and I'd even argue it's up there with the peaks of Chapter 1. I know a lot of people aren't going to agree with me, but that's the beauty of opinions, isn't it? With that being said, thank you guys so much for watching to the end. If you enjoyed this video, please leave a like, and if you want to see more content like this, please subscribe, because if I get to 20k by the end of 2026, I'll get a low taper fade. Use code LilSmurf and follow me on Twitter. That's all I really wanted to say. With that being said, I'll catch you guys in the next one. Peace out. Shades off, but with the glasses, bro said cause he is savage. So many dead off, so many ashes. You ain't catch that, I can't pass that. Shoot a stage drive, I don't need mine. Bro put belt right to his behind. The way that switch, bro, I know he died. 6-7. I hate my job.